Well, when you were injured and you were going into the MMA and things like that, at the time, did you think you could make a career out of it? Because UFC wasn't what it is now, and Japan was probably the biggest scene. Did you think I could make this into a job at that time, or were you just doing it because you enjoyed it?
No, I mean, our thought process wasn't about a career. It was more about doing something I love doing. I mean, this was fighting, getting arrested for it, and now they're going to give me money for it. So it's like, yeah, let's do it. I mean, I like it, I mean, I've done it my whole life. So now you're going to pay me for it. It was like, yeah, let's do this. And so for me, it was exciting. It was like, I mean, I just couldn't believe they were actually doing it. I mean, when the first UFC, I mean, I couldn't believe it up until Gerard Godot kicked Emmanuel Tua in the face. I mean, I literally didn't believe that they were going to be able to do that. And, so it was an exciting ride to be able to go to Japan and be able to do the mixed martial arts when I first saw the videotapes and stuff. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. I want to do that. Then being able to go and do it, and then seeing UFC come in where it's basically a street fight where they're like, yeah, just go in, anything goes, no rules. And you're like, okay, cool. Although there were rules, where there's supposed to be no rules, but they put rules in. But it was still the adrenaline and the excitement of that to actually see a street fight in a ring with a referee when there's supposed to be no rules was just and in a cage, which was absolutely bizarre.
Was there any nerves whatsoever going into something like that? Because I watched them old videos, and you've got sumo wrestlers against karate guys, and I couldn't imagine being in the change room thinking, I don't know who I'm fighting. The rules are all brand new. Was there no nerves whatsoever? Because on the videos, when you're walking towards the ring, you look calm, cool, collected, a bit like Mike Tyson-esque. You look like you could beat people before you get in the ring. I just wondered, was there slight nerves back in the day?
Not at all, man. I mean, for me, I was excited. I mean, it was like a kid going into a candy shop. I mean, especially the way I grew up where you were getting jumped and stabbed and shot. I mean, it was all that tension, right? But walking into a ring, it's one-on-one. I mean, like, this was like, I couldn't believe it was happening. And so I was excited, man. And I knew my abilities, I mean, I've gone against some pretty big dudes in street fights. And I'm just able to outlast them, and I got a good chin, And so I felt like they can't beat me. I had experience in Japan, I mean, I was over there for 2.5 years. And what I learned in 2.5 years is what most people would learn in a lifetime. So I felt very confident going in there and fighting and was excited, And then, of course, you ran into a guy like Royce Gracie, who was, we were the two smallest guys in the tournament, right? And yeah. I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to beat everybody. And then there's a guy running around in pajamas, and I'm like, I'm going to crush him. And so we didn't know who we were fighting, what their skill sets were, how good they were. But in my mind, I was like, there's no way, man, I'm winning this.
Well, like people looking in back in the day, like in the early 80s and 90s and things like that, you had people who thought they were ninjas. And I think when UFC came along, it was like, no, that's the hardest guy on the planet. That's the most dangerous guy on the planet. But before then, you had like, oh, that guy, that master, kung fu master over there might be the hardest. And I think it answered a lot of questions, didn't it, when MMA come around?
Oh, for sure. When you got a guy like Royce Gracie that goes into the tournament, and even though the experience that I had was nothing compared to his, I mean, this guy, you look at him, man, he dominated 4 or 5 tournaments he won. I mean, it was amazing what he was able to do. And at his weight, I think I was 15 pounds heavier than him. But with 2 smallest guys, myself and him, dominated the UFC. And it has to do with skills. Obviously being tough too. I mean, you got to have some mental toughness. And so for me, you look at it and it wasn't all these karate guys and it wasn't all these, tough boxers and kickboxers. It was the guys that knew how to put a guy on the ground and submit him. And of course, then that really turned the world upside down because everybody for the longest time thought it was Bruce Lee, the kicks and stuff. But you can't do those if you're afraid you're going to be taken down, right? You can't throw those if you can't defend a takedown because then when you get put on your back, it's over. So it did. It turned the world's head upside down. I mean, people were standing on their heads trying to figure out, wait a minute, how does that can't be that's the toughest thing in the world is grappling. And then, of course, we started seeing transitions of strikers like Maurice Smith, be able to defend takedowns and then be able to start knocking grapplers out and winning because their strikings were so much better than the grapplers because they relied on taking guys down. And then once the strikers learned how to defend the takedown, then they were starting to win. Of course, then that forced the grapplers to go, wait a minute, I guess I better learn how to strike. And now that's what we have today.